that justifies your passivity, right? I think you have chosen radical politics because you are neglecting your real life. You're neglecting the things that you can do to move your life forward. And if you feel passive, that has nothing to do with the government in Australia or America or immigration levels, right? That's all about you, right? There's some payoff that you're getting from an incredibly passive approach to life, right? It's not America, it's not Australia that's at fault here. You have so many opportunities to build something with your life, right? You can get educated, you can develop hobbies, you can contribute to your community, you can volunteer, right? Australia and America aren't what's holding you back. You're not a slave to the government, but you obviously get a tremendous payoff from believing that you're a slave, because then you are absolved from taking action, right? You are absolved from asserting yourself in the world. You're absolved from your responsibilities. You have come to love your tiny life because it limits your vulnerability. And so you have retreated to the cave, and you've retreated to an outlook on life that justifies your passivity with regard to taking action for the things that you need to start taking action for. You are checking out of normal adult responsibilities, and you've got a ready-made explanation for your failures in life. And your ready explanation is that you're just a slave of the government. And I think that's the easy way out, and I don't think it's serving you. It's comforting, but it's not serving you.
Obama was a person that the Republicans love to hate and the Democrats love to love. Biden is just kind of there. I think he does a good job, but in kind of a boring way, so people don't care as much.
Yeah, I think that's a good clip to play, because you can basically locate an American on the political spectrum by finding out what they think of Biden. If they hate Biden, they could be hard left or on the right. But if they think Biden is basically fine but aren't terribly excited about him, then that's where you are on the spectrum.
Yeah, and
and I addressed this issue much more eloquently back on September 4th of 2023. What are we supposed to actually do, atomized as we all are in America? Not everyone's atomized in America. You're talking about yourself. Many people are leading quite fulfilling, harmonious, cohesive, coherent lives. There is abundant community that you can go out there and become a part of. Most people find it through church, through synagogue, through their profession, through their education, through their hobbies. I mean, there are abundant forms of community. If you can't find community in America, there's something wrong with you. It's not America's fault. There's something in you that is unhappy with who you are. We've got Stephen J. James returning to the stage. Stephen, what's going on, bro?
Hey, Luke. Look, I just thought I'd pop on for a couple of minutes.
Blessings.
Blessings for all the chat. So I heard what you were talking about just then. You were basically admonishing, I don't know, Wignat in the chat or something, who was saying he's here for the Civil War or something.
Yes.
To that effect. Oh, that's what I gathered.
Yes.
And, you know, for a while, Luke, I resented this aspect of your show. I'll be honest. Because I think I'd ended up in that place a little myself. And then there was all your love and inclusion stuff and all this business that I did grow to resent. But as I matured, I would like to say there's something to what you were just saying there. Now, have you read by any chance that new age woo-woo book called The Secret about the law of attraction?
Yes, I have read it.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
On the face of it. Mm-hmm. For instance, if nobody's aware, it recommends something like imagine and visualize yourself like winning $1 million or something, and then magically the the universe will manifest this for you. This is the idea. So it's absurd on the face of it. The law of attraction. It's a new age, stupid idea. But there is something to the idea, isn't there? That if you always focus on something, you will manifest that reality. If you wake up in the morning and all you're consuming is like crime statistics, stories about black crime, stories about rape gangs and grooming gangs, and if this is what you're fed with, then that's the world that you experience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that what you consume has an effect on you, and Dignity for Anglos kind of embodies that. He is essentially only consuming material about the Great Replacement, and his whole life is just basically boiled down to the Great Replacement and his desire for a civil war between white people. And if you consume the material of marginalized people, it will shift you towards a marginalized position in your own life. So there's a reason that marginalized material appeals to you in the first place. You're already in a marginalized position, but you can get pulled more and more into a marginalized position depending on the people that you hang out with. And in a sense, the podcasts that you consume and the websites that you read are people that you're hanging out with. And so more and more of, Great Replacement material that you read, the more and more you will buy into it, just as the more and more material you read about the second coming of Jesus Christ, the more and more you'll buy into the importance of the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, it can be a really dark place to become red-pilled. I mean, this idea that you become red-pilled to all this stuff that you didn't know before, and you know better than the normie, and there is no practical value to this process. If anything, it has a damaging effect on people. We all know the story that you like to bring up, well, you don't like to bring up, but you look back on like what happened with Godward, Casey, for instance, and
heartbreaking. Hilarious and heartbreaking. Depending on your personality, you'll either find it, more hilarious or more heartbreaking. But as one of the things that I noticed and changed on in 2018. So when I started live streaming almost every day, when I began that in January of 2018, I initially had the attitude that getting red-pilled was a good thing. And then I saw how getting red-pilled had a negative effect on almost everybody who got red-pilled. At the same time, I knew some people for whom it had not had a negative effect. So some people with sufficient IQ and self-discipline, they did not allow the red pill to ruin their lives. But overwhelmingly, I saw that getting red-pilled was ruining lives, which was not what I anticipated, because I equate getting red-pilled with just seeing reality more clearly. But most people who get red-pilled, I think they see some parts of reality more clearly, but then other parts of reality become more distorted. And it just seems obvious to me that most people who get red-pilled, it has a negative effect on the quality of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no good. I mean, we tend to when you become aware of all this stuff, there's a meme that shows that we look down upon the normie. I mean, calling somebody a normie is a meme in itself, but then there's the meme of calling people an NPC, a non-player character, who aren't aware of all this stuff. But really, the normie sails through life without really ever being affected by any of these issues, and they somewhat lead productive lives. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't some benefits to becoming aware of these things, of course, and I'm not going to put down people who choose to do some productive activism towards attempting to influence political policy in a good direction. I think that's a worthy cause, but I do think you have been vindicated to the extent where you can really lead to a a harmful life, and your catchphrase really caught on about marginalized movements leading to attracting marginalized people. So I just came on to say I think you're right about this, and I think whatever his name is, Wignat number 7 in
Dignity,
chat.
yeah, dignity for Anglos.
Yeah, dignity for Anglos there. I mean, what a name. I'm sure he's a great guy. But yeah.
There's an analogy. There's an analogy here in Judaism. In traditional Judaism, you're not supposed to study Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, unless you're at least 40 years of age, married, and with children. And perhaps people should not take the red pill unless they are over 40, married, and with kids.
Is that because if you study it before, it will turn you into David, basically?
If you study it before that, the odds are too high that it will have a maladaptive role in your life.
Yeah.
Right. So many people, I'm sure, can study Kabbalah at age 15 when they're unmarried and don't have kids. But overwhelmingly, there are certain topics that seem to suck people in a downward direction. And studying Kabbalah is one of them, just like marijuana. Right? Most people I know who smoke marijuana, it seems to have a negative effect on the quality of their life.
Yeah, and the worst thing about that is they don't notice it, and suddenly 15 years have slipped by, and they're still sat on their sofa, not realizing this. This is basically what happened to all my friend group, to be honest. My old friend group, I went a different direction. I went into sports, and then 10 years slipped by and I didn't realize. But whether one has been more productive than the other is questionable. But yeah, it's interesting what you say about the Kabbalah and that.
Do you think that you have an addictive personality where you have a psychological predisposition towards seizing on one thing to give your life meaning? And so for many years it was sport, and you right now you may feel tempted where you're at in life to seize on one thing to give your life meaning.
Sure. Look, the thing for me, if I'm being brutally honest, was that I felt inferior intellectually, or I felt like I couldn't compete, or the academic stuff wasn't for me. But I realized I could excel in sports. I used to win all the games and all the competitions. I suddenly realized here's an area where I can excel. So I put everything into that.
Yeah, and so do I. I mean, I'm the same way. I ran 5 marathons when I was age 12 because it made me special. And then I got into journalism in 8th grade because it made me special. I got to interview professional football players and the like. And then I got into blogging on the porn industry because I imagined it made me special. And then I got into live streaming about the alt-right because I believed that it made me special. So we all tend to do those things that enable us to feel special. But there are adaptive and there are maladaptive ways of going about this. So much of what I've done, perhaps most of what I've done to feel special, have not really served me. And I would have been better off going in a more normie and conventional direction of paying great attention to my education, for example.
Yeah, or a career, and an actual conventional normie career path, and working at that consistently. Basically, like I'm sure your parents told you to do, or your school teachers told you to do, or your career advisor told you to do, and you'll have had many of your peers who'll have gone off and put the equivalent effort into doing something practical, like working their way up through an accounting company or something like that I just could not bear to do.
And you're not capable of doing, I would wager, without medication for your ADHD.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Like right now, unmedicated, you don't have that many options in life.
No. It's true. This is the pep talk about getting on the drugs again, isn't it? I did hear a bit of the caller that was calling Scotto, was it?
Yes.
He was calling in earlier. Yeah.
On the other
Interesting
hand, you
hearing.
don't know what might become possible for you with medication, because right now it's not even the realm of the conceivable. But
Yeah.
you might become a different person with different capabilities. You might develop a normal amount of ability to sustain your attention.
Yeah. The danger, I mean, the worry for me is that, maybe I'm not just ADHD, maybe I am just stupid. So that's always the worry for me. I might go get on medication and it doesn't really benefit me. Then I just have to face facts. I'm just an idiot, basically. As a large section of society say, you're not ADHD, you're just a very naughty boy or something.
Right. There's a comfort there's a reason, there's comfort staying in the cave, and there's a reason we don't change. There are many reasons why we don't change. Overwhelmingly, when people try to change, they don't end up changing because they're unwilling to face up to the benefits of not changing. You're getting all sorts of benefits from not changing. You live in a small world and a small life with few vulnerabilities and few opportunities. And if you became well, you would have to grapple with the enormous pain of all that is not possible for you because you did not address this earlier. You would have to grapple with the enormous pain of the tremendous amount of opportunities that you now have, and making choices and becoming assertive about your life and taking action and being less passive in your life is also painful. And you get to avoid that by staying in the cave of your presumably ADHD. You're getting tremendous payoffs from the comforting, passive way that you're currently conducting your life. And until you come to terms with all the payoffs and the comfort that you're getting from your passivity, you're not going to change. Only when the pain of your current path outweighs the pain of doing something different will you finally take action.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what is also the biggest danger for me, I think, going forward in life. The danger for me is that I actually just stay. I think that my danger is actually that I stay in my current lane, Luke. Now, you might think that this is a weird thing to be saying, given that you advocate staying in your lane. But my current lane is that, I've quit competitive sports. Basically, I'm getting old. No point carrying on anymore. Not going to make any money doing it. I'm getting out whilst I've still got my knees, basically, which is a good idea. And I've gone full-time at work. But my current day job is a dead-end job. It's not going to go anywhere. But it's kind of an easy job. I can coast at it. There's not really a problem if, even if I turn up late, I'm really good with the management there. It's like the perfect job that I could just last in for the next 25 years, being a very low income earner and achieving nothing in life. So this is like a quandary that I'm faced with. What do I do? And you'll know yourself that ADHD is something that will almost certainly, unless I really, really find a way to kick myself out of the backside, is something that will cause me to do nothing about my current situation and just coast.
Yeah, you won't do anything about your current situation until the pain of your current situation outweighs the pain of doing something different. So when you get sufficient pain...
But what if there's no pain? Yeah, what if there's no pain? What if there isn't any?
Right, then you're not going to change until you get in
it's a
touch
life
with
of
the pain.
It's a life of mediocrity, isn't it? No.
Yeah, it's a deformed life. It's life kind of in a cave. It's a very small life where you've minimized your vulnerabilities.
Yeah. So I need to get lucky. I need to either win a lottery ticket, or I need to buy a stock that can go to 100,000 times X, or
well, there's no external solution for an internal problem. What you're grappling with is an internal problem. It may well primarily be a biological and physiological problem for which there is no other primary answer other than a biological and physiological answer. If what you're primarily grappling with is a psychological problem, there's in all likelihood, most likely a psychological answer. If you're primarily grappling with a moral problem, then there's a moral answer. If you're grappling with a religious problem, there's likely a religious problem. It sounds to me like you're primarily grappling with a biological and physiological problem, but whatever the exact nature of your problem is, I can guarantee you that there's no external solution to it.
Yeah. What about this for a solution? I have taken some external advice, and one person's advised me that what I need is, in fact, Islam. What do you think about that?
I don't believe there's a religious solution to your internal problem. I don't believe there's a moral solution. I don't believe there is a will solution. I don't believe that you can will yourself to a better life. I don't believe there's a discipline solution. I don't believe that you can implement a series of disciplines that are going to substantially turn your life around. I believe there's only a contemplation answer, where you contemplate the cost of your current approach to life, what it has robbed from you, and how it has harmed you, and how it has harmed people around you. And once you become overwhelmed by the price you have paid for your current path, then you'll start constructing possible alternative paths, and then you'll play them out in your head. And then eventually you'll seize on a path forward that you think is most likely to be productive for you. And then after that kind of contemplation, after that kind of accounting of the soul, you will move forward and do something different.
Elliot says I need to take his advice. Elliot actually, right? I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. Elliot actually DM'd me with like a job opportunity of some kind, and the truth is, it just seemed like such a hassle that I just declined him, and I just said, "Forget it, Elliot," or something. I forget what it was, but so I can't actually remember what his advice was. But he DM'd me at some point, some like company, and I think it was they had offices in France or something. I won't say what it was or anything. I won't dox it, Elliot. Don't worry. But he was trying. Elliot is a good guy. We all know this. And you just reached out on a DM and sent me this information. I know somebody who works at this company. Blah 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 blah. You could maybe get an interview here. But just the thought of it, just like it's felt like such an enormous thing, so outside of my lane, that I just like hand waved it away and said, just can't even contemplate that, Elliot. So I think my biggest danger is that I won't experience any kind of like pain or feel like things have gone terribly wrong in my life probably until I'm like, I don't know, 40 or 50. And then I'll look back, or then I'll look like at what's left and think, whoa, now it's too late.
So how many people in your life are telling you to wake up and smell the coffee?
Nobody really, actually. Nobody really.
So you don't really have that many people in your real life who care about you?
Well, no, actually, most people are like happy that I've quit competitive sports, because most people thought that I would end up, with a serious brain injury, end up in a wheelchair. So everybody's just happy about that at the moment. And to my family, my normie family, going and getting full-time hours at my dead-end job is like a positive. Wow, he's being sensible. Finally, he's being sensible for once. Thank God he's not going to at least end up a paraplegic.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. It does sound like you've taken some positive steps forward. Now, does your job help to connect you to other people, or other people that you may connect with at work, not people that you really want to deepen relationships with?
Well, no, not particularly at all. No. No.
Do you
I'd
ever
say
feel
it does.
horror at your life circumstances? like overwhelming pain? Do you like wake up at 2
No, not
a.m.
yet.
filled with disgust
not
for
yet.
yourself? So self-loathing
No.
is not a big component of who you are.
No, not at all. Not at all, actually. I mean, I think I've been quite fortunate in life, actually. I'm acutely aware I've gone over my time, actually, that I said I'd be here. But I think, like I say, I don't have self-loathing. I think the biggest danger is that I could just be too comfortable and just sit in this position, not being too bothered, not worrying too much. I'm not too worried, like, that I won't find a wife, settle down, have children. I feel like it'll all just end up coming into place. So yeah, I think the
Claire
biggest
Core
danger
says,
for me is mediocrity.
Claire Core says, perhaps I can occupy myself finding Stephen James a secular Quranic bride. So I would argue that the desire to rescue or the desire to be rescued come from the same sick place, and occupying yourself with finding Stephen a secular Quranic bride does not strike me as a good way to spend your time.
Yeah, well, well, do you know that Khalid and Claire are currently giving once a week marriageability classes? They've remodeled themselves as marriage counselors. Khalid, who is looking for a second wife because he's bored with his first one, and Claire, who is currently widowed, obviously no fault of her own, but doesn't have a husband, doesn't really particularly want one, but they are thinking that what they can do is be marriage counselors to other people, me included. They want to do it for.
Well, there are probably worse ways you can spend your time.
Yes, but like I say, I know I was poking fun at old Khalid there, but did you notice his answer actually was Islam to your question? You asked him, Khalid, what do you think of this caricature that somebody says, no matter the question, the answer is Islam? How about if I ask you, what about depression? His answer was Islam.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anyway. All right, Luke, that's all I've got for you today.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. See you later.
Bye-bye. See you. You who can't accept who you are, therefore, because you can't accept who you are, other people are going to have a hard time accepting who you are. So you are isolated. You feel peripheral and marginal, but it's not because of America. It's because of things going on with you. There are certain habits that you have, certain responses to stimuli, certain thought patterns, certain reflexes you have which keep you alienated and isolated and marginalized. That has nothing to do with America. If you are at ease with yourself, you're going to be at ease with other people, right? The greatest resource you can have is to have a rational basis for liking and respecting yourself. If you have a good, solid, rational basis for liking and respecting yourself, other people will naturally like and respect you and will want to be around you, and community will just well up all around you. I say unto thee, a table will be spread for you in the midst of your enemies. If you like yourself, if you have fundamental, fair dinkum, true blue, dinky diet reasons to like yourself, a veritable table will be prepared for you in the presence of your enemies. Your cup will overflow. Goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life, and you will live in the house of the Lord forever. But you have to be at ease with yourself. You have to be high functioning. You have to be conscious of what you really think, what you really feel, what you really want, how other people really perceive you, what your real strengths are, who your enemies are, where you get into trouble in life, right? You have to be conscious of what's going on inside of you, outside of you. You have to be conscious of irreconcilable directions, parts of yourself. You have to be conscious of where you're at war with yourself, where you're at war with your family, with your friends. You have to understand to what extent you have played a role in turning other people against you and alienating yourself from your family. Why are you poor? Why are you struggling? Why are certain types of relationships very difficult for you? Why have you had a hard time, building up community? How have you consistently sabotaged yourself and your own choices? And it's not America that is holding you back. Right, and here's Sam Altman.
You
Why aren't I
say
hearing this?
that most people overestimate risk and underestimate reward. What do you mean by that?
There's a lot of people that don't go start the company or take the job they want to take or try a product idea because they think it's too risky. And then if you really ask them, like, all right, can we unpack that? And can you explain what the risk is and what's going to go wrong? It's like, well, the company might fail. Okay, and then what? Well, then I have to go back to my old job. All right, that seems reasonable. They're like, well, but I'll be a little embarrassed. And I'm like, oh, is that, what's the cost? I think like people view that as a super risky thing, and they view staying in a job where they're not really progressing or learning more or doing new things for 20 years as not risky at all. And to me, that seems catastrophically risky, to like miss out on 20 years of your very limited life and energy to try to do the thing you actually want to do. That seems really risky. But it's not thought of that way.
Okay, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to head to the protests at UCLA. I'll talk to you blokes later. Bye-bye.